morning to Deep Dive DL. We meet every third Thursday of the month where we interview a local business owner just to hear their story about where they started, what they're dreaming up next, and all the in-betweens. My name is Sarah Hoffman, and I'm the ecosystem builder at Project 412. My job is to build a positive community for entrepreneurs where they can get inspired and get connected to people. I do that through different things like programming, like Deep Dive DL here. We also have a pitch competition that we're running right now, which is a lot of fun. You got to put on your calendar August 12th, that's when the competition is, and it's open to the public. You can come out and see everyone pitch Shark Tank style. And then we have pop-up co-working, and I also do coaching and connections for any business owners. So if you ever have any concerns or questions, or just want help getting connected in the community, reach out to me and I'd be happy to help. So now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Katie Schiller of Schillers House. And Katie, how about you just tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Okay, so I'm born and raised here, and after I graduated high school, I went to college for a year, and then decided I should go to hair school. After that, I worked in Detroit Lakes for 5 years, and then I ended up not renewing my license on accident. I lost my license, I had to quit my business, I had to go back to Fargo. So I started back up in Fargo, kind of starting fresh. I had to work for a company after working for myself for 5 years, which was a super hard thing to do. And I did that for, like 7 years. And then I decided I wanted to start booth renting. So booth renting, you kind of like your own boss. You rent a booth, you run your business, do all that. And so I did that for a few years. And then I moved back to Detroit Lakes, but I was still commuting up to Fargo. And at that time, I had probably 20 guys that were driving to Fargo to get their haircut with me, and they're like, Katie, why don't you just do it in your house? I don't want to. And I said, once my daughter goes to school, then I will think about opening up in Detroit Lakes. Well then, this space came available right downtown, actually where Heidi's at now. It's just crazy how this all goes around. And it wasn't a good fit. I started there in 2018. It was called Parlor 102. And so I thought, I'm gonna just do men's hair because I don't wanna have to bring all my hair coloring stuff back. And I started just doing the guys' hair in Detroit Lakes, and this was in January of 2018, and by March that year, I was so busy I had to shut down my Fargo shop. And so I shut down the Fargo shop and I just went full-time at Parlor 102, and it was crazy because I kind of like to challenge myself, when you're working with haircuts, it's really easy to say, well, if I do 2 more haircuts, I can make this much more money and it's 1 more hour. And I ended up working earlier and working later. And at the time, my daughter, she wasn't in school. And it was like, well, if I go home right at bedtime, then she's gonna get up and run crazy. So I would work 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. nonstop. And it was great because people kept coming. And then COVID hit, which was crazy because they shut us down. And I thought, oh my gosh, I did all this and I'm never gonna do hair again, and everybody's gonna figure out how to cut their hair and they're never gonna come back. And which everybody did. And so what was really cool after that is all the rules and restrictions they had were really hard for a lot of people, but I was already set up with online booking. I had a private room so I could work however much I wanted to and not have to share a space with other people. And then I got really busy after that, which was great. And there was so much appreciation from people who couldn't get a haircut that they're like, my wife did a good job, but she took an hour, or they grew out their hair and they really liked it, but they didn't want a barber haircut, they needed a scissor haircut more so. I should add that in. I'm a cosmetologist, and so there is some confusion sometimes because we just do men's hair. And so people will call us a barber, but we are all licensed cosmetologists that work for Schillers House. So when we go to school, we learn a lot more about scissor cutting rather than clipper cutting. Anyway, so back to the story. I knew after that, this is like 2019, this was like really taking off and I couldn't do these long days anymore. So I decided that I wanted to open up Schiller's house. And how we came up with the name Schiller's house was everything had to be like kept quiet. So if you guys haven't seen our logo, it's the guys going shh, and then it has SH on it. Because at the time we didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, is this something that you go into and invest all this money when you just got shut down like that year? So in 2020, I opened up Schiller's house, and it's over on Rossman Avenue. So I took over one side and it was just a 2-chair salon. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna double my prices. I can't work these 7 days a week, you know, long hours anymore. And I did that, and then everybody came, and then more people came, and it was crazy because it's like, I can't do it, and one person. So then I hired Emily. Emily's from St. Cloud, and she was a hairstylist in Perham, and then she cut hair at a nursing home. And so she came on and worked with me at Schiller's house, and she was very fresh out of school. So I told her, like, we're just gonna figure it out. Like, you know, we have all these people, and so she came on and started working, and after a month, she was full-time with me. And then, crazy enough, Great Clip shut down in Detroit Lakes, and so there are so many people that needed a haircut, and here, you know, with the online booking, it's super slick. It was really hard to convince a lot of people, you gotta do it this way, and you should pre-book your appointment, think ahead, like don't come in the day of. So Emily and I ran the shop till June together, and then Danny joined us, and so we had 3 people, which was perfect, because I still had taken time for myself and my family. So then Danny and Emily came on, and then we still kept getting busier, and like there wasn't enough room for all of us. And so rather than open up and like redo a whole new shop in Detroit Lakes, I looked into Perham, because there's not even a barber shop in Perham, which is crazy. So I think it was 2022, I bought a building in Perham on their main street there, and we renovated the whole space and opened up the Schiller's house in Perham, and did it the same model, the 2-chair salon, just guys, you know, same look. And a lot of, I think a lot goes into like the branding that we did with this, because you see the picture, you know, and it registers. I had done a lot of other businesses in the past where I didn't do like ace the branding, you know, and so the logo is just really cool, and you see it, you know, that looks like a cool place for guys to go. So in Perham, we opened up, and it was kind of funny because I wasn't like on the main street here, so I didn't get as much like traffic or chatter about it. And we're right across from one of the more popular restaurants in Perham, the Brew, so a ton of people would see it. And it was cool because they Google, you know, what is Schiller's house, and it pops up. And it's a huge tourist town, it's like DL. And so we get people from all over the place in Perham that are coming in and getting their haircuts. And they're like, oh, you should open one here, you should open one there. It's like, wow, like this is cool. And so then I haven't opened up more yet, but I think it's cool that so many people want this type of thing in their area. And there isn't a lot of things that concentrate like just on men in the salon world rather than a barbershop. So then we did Perham, and then we hired Brittany, and Brittany is from South Dakota. She owned the salon that I bought in Perham, and she unfortunately she got shut down after COVID, and she just couldn't recover. So it's kind of crazy. So she ran the shop. They sold it to somebody else, and then I ended up coming in and buying it from them, which was kind of cool how that turned out. And then Brittany got a real estate license. She worked next door to me, and we got her to come on board with us. And so then there was 4, and it kept growing. And I mean, when your phone rings nonstop and you just tell people like you can't get them in, it's a good and bad kind of thing. So we ended up just this last year took over the second side of the DL Schiller's house, and we expanded into that area and now have 4 chairs there. And then there's 5 stylists that work at Schiller's house. And then I honestly think I need 1 more. It's just like, there's so many things. So it's really cool. So now in Detroit Lakes, we have the 4-chair station. There's 5 of us working. And on the back side, it's like, there's a huge area. What am I going to do with this space? So there's a esthetician in town. She's going to come, and she has like a booth rental type situation. She's going to rent out the back space and run her business out of there, which I'm super excited for. Her name's Nicole. She owns Skin. And then we run an Amazon hub out of the back, which is just a really easy way to make extra income out of it. And yeah, so that, is, I always like to challenge how it started probably 13 years ago. I want to try to double my income this year. And so every year you just set goals to double the income. And right when I think I can't do it anymore, it's been able to happen, which is crazy. And so this year, I don't know if it'll happen this year, but I always try to think, what can I do to make more money, and I don't like to make money for myself. I like to make money so I can pay my employees really good wages and keep them there. And I couldn't be where I'm at today without them. So trying to get as much in the shop to kind of disperse out of the shop. The couple of the girls, it's pretty crazy to look at their, at the end of the year, their take home, and look like I had been working for myself for, I think it was 17 years, and they're able to make more money than I was, booth renting, which is crazy to be able to give them that opportunity, especially in this industry. It's not, you guys ever play the game of life? And the hairstylist is $30,000 a year. And I feel like that's pretty accurate in most cases. And I kind of want to change that, because it's an industry that's not dying, and it's an industry that a robot I don't think will take over. And the thing I like most about it is, I always say we show an art of communication. My favorite thing is to chat with kids, young kids, and they get screams in front of them so often, and so they always say, well, why don't you have a TV? Because I'm probably the last person you'll have a conversation with as you grow older, and you need to know how to do that. And so, there's a few that don't like to talk, and that's fine. But, when you really look at it, it is more than cutting hair. I don't want to say we're changing lives, but there's a lot of people, so I've been in town for 6 years, maybe 7 years. And when you look at the graduating class, I met them in grade school, and you see them grow up, and then they invite you to their graduation parties, and they tell you everything. And then you see there's the really young kids. There's a little boy, he's going into 2nd grade, and I told him he has to take a picture with me every school year, and then I'm going to retire when he graduates. And he made it till this year, and then he's too cool. What? Don't do that to me. But I do enjoy that. And it's cool, when you go out and you see so many people that know who you are, and they think the world of you for doing just their hair, But yeah, it's cool to be, I think, in smaller communities, really getting to know people. And yeah, I never thought I would say my favorite clients are the younger kids, but they're so funny to talk to, and they get so excited to come in. My favorite thing is when a little kid comes in and is like, hey Katie, oh hi, hi. You know, it just, you don't see that very often. And I want to continue to grow that. And like they talk about it at school, and they talk about it, you know, on football teams or hockey teams. And I look at the hockey team now, and I kind of joked with one of the coaches. There's a poster that we have hanging, and I said I cut like almost everybody but 3 of those boys' haircuts. And when I started cutting their hair, I think they were probably like in 3rd grade. And I always would tell them, like, a boy with a really good haircut will grow to be a gentleman. And this group of hockey players is like way more gentleman-like than when I was in school. They're like changing their reputation. I don't think it's because of the hair, but I will say I will take a little bit of credit for that. But I don't know, that's my story. Yeah, I love what I do. I love the girls that I have working for me, and I definitely love the community that I work in. And I say, like, keep it handsome. And we just, you know, it's cool to see so many faces out there of everybody that, you know, we've met at some point or another. The hardest part is I don't have time to continue to do every single person's hair who I very first started with. But yeah, that's that.
Well, that little boy not letting you take a picture with him is clearly a sign from the universe that you can't retire because you're just too good. How to keep you here.
It was funny when he did it. I was like, "Ian, you have to let me take the picture today." He was like, "No." Oh my God. So I did snap one, like when he wasn't looking and we're not doing the same pose. And he might come around this year. But
that'd be funny to show up at his graduation.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah. Well, have you guys ever seen that? It's like the picture of the little boy and the barber when they're like babies, and then it's the old man barber and the like gentleman guy, and they've cut the same person's hair their whole life. And you do hear that once. I mean, there are people that are like, I won't go to anybody else, and so like they literally will book out 90 days in advance of their haircut, and they're so loyal, but it's either like they got kicked off of somebody's list before and they don't want that to happen, or they really like to get their hair cut, and they know, you know, if your slots fill up fast, you have to book. So I mean, it's pretty wild. On my schedule, like I plan a year in advance, like what it's going to look like for vacations or kids things. That is one of the hard things. Is like I keep my schedule open and the schedule will fill up, and then say like my son played basketball, and then the basketball schedule comes out 2 weeks before and you can't maneuver any of those appointments around. So we really try to be open later for availability that way, and then, you know, like kind of know in advance what days do they play? So like I don't work late Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I can maybe do that. And that's taken a long time to kind of dial in on how to do that. I know like one year I was going to my daughter's conference. I was working in Perham. I had never been to a conference before. And I was flying down Highway 10 and I got pulled over. And the cop was, "Where are you going?" I said, "You know what, I've never made it to a conference before, and I just really need to get there." And so he comes back and he's like, "You really didn't want to go to the conference." I'm like, "Well, I did, and now I missed it." So I show up like 15 minutes late to the conference, and I was like, "I mean, I tried." You know, those are the harder parts of the career. I know my dad never wanted me to be a hairstylist. He actually, the reason why I went to college is because he kind of made me go to college. And I understand now as I'm older why he wanted me to do that. But like things that you don't think of when you're young is, what is it like to work, you know, till 9 at night, you know, when you have a family, or to work every weekend. Like we finally, a couple of years, I think it was last year, we just decided to close down on the weekends, which is pretty unheard of in the industry because there's so many people that can't come in during the week. But I always tell people we stay open really late on the weekdays so we can accommodate a lot of people that way. And we started opening up like 2 hours earlier in the morning, so a lot of people come in before work. So the I forgot what I was saying. The weekends, it is nice to have a weekend off. I had never in my whole entire life had weekends off, and to have weekends off, I understand it's not how I feel like their weekends. And then like I'll do things every once in a while. It's kind of fun to do. I'll just throw it on Facebook. I'm gonna do walk-ins on Saturdays, and I did this for the first time this last winter, or it was spring, and I pull up like an hour before on a Saturday just to set up and clean up, and there's 3 people sitting outside the shop, and it's like 7 a.m. And I was like, hey, I don't open for an hour, and they're like, yeah, we know, we just want to make sure we can get in today. It's like, okay, and so I'm like, I gotta set up and do some stuff, but then I'll open the door, you guys can come in. And by the time 8 o'clock rolled around, there was a line out the door, and I was like, oh, okay, so this walk-ins is, I mean, really quickly I thought, okay, I'm just gonna write down everybody's name and give them a time and have them come back, because we don't have chairs to accommodate like 17 people. But it was cool, so it was a 4-hour shift, and I had 17 people come in and out, and it's record. We don't have that time slot, but when you do a walk-in, I mean, you can do a haircut a lot faster when it's something like that. So I started doing that, and then but the people would, you just either you come at 7 a.m. and stand in line, or you're not going to get in. So I don't know if it's a convenience thing, or like it's crazy. And with that, like I'll say, social media it's a huge thing that has helped me. Like after COVID, when everybody got haircut makeovers, I would take a picture and like, give them a makeover, so it was super fun to look at. And a lot of people loved following my page and watching that. I enjoyed it. I have never gotten to give so many brand new haircuts before, and then it's, their new style and things like that. And so that kind of drew a huge attraction to the Facebook page. And I know if I do one post today, I stay in somebody's feed, and then they can actually, they'll see like, okay, we have openings today. Okay, we did the water fights last night, or this, like even this. So many people ask me, what is this about? But they just see it. And if you stay on top of your social media, I always call myself like a 2-minute scroller. I don't sit and scroll for hours. I'll glance for a few minutes. So you always want to pop in people's top page, right? If everybody's a 2-minute scroller, and to do that, you always have to just post random things. And so I'll put really weird, if I don't know what to put for work, I'll put a picture of my dog. Everybody loves my dog. And it's not even about hair anymore, it's about more community, I think, than anything. And it's kind of cool how that works, so that way.
You're doing great.
Thanks. Is there anything else I should touch on this?
First, when you say you're not changing lives, I think you gotta give yourself more credit, because so many people refer to their hairstylist as like their second therapist.
That is true.
And it's like the person that they're relaxed with and they feel comfortable. And Amy's always talking about, is it Zig Ziglar, who says that when you take care of yourself, you feel better, you feel more confident. And so like that haircut is making them look dapper and handsome. But it's also giving them that confidence to feel good in their own skin, and you kind of greet the world that way. So I think that's really special that you do that.
Yeah.
One question I have is, like, your trade especially, like, you're on the floor cutting hair and stuff. I've seen you in there when we go in there. And so how did you figure out all the other pieces that go with the business, like the finance, the marketing? Like, what was kind of your approach to that? Was it just like, I'll just figure it out, or I'll find someone? Or?
So the marketing, I've always kind of had a passion for, which is, it's fun. Like, I hate sometimes if we're too busy that I can't market to get more people to come in, because I like doing that. The financing and the business and all of that I've had to learn. It's not my favorite thing. I did pair up this year finally with an accountant who I am letting him kind of take the role on that, so I don't have to do that. And I would say with the businesses that I had done before, they're smaller, so a small scale business. I opened a business called Flawless Bridal Beauty. It was a traveling bridal company. So what you need is a case like to carry your stuff, and we would go on site. So that was easy, you know, I didn't need a space. To do the space at Schiller's house, it was super awesome. Like COVID actually helped me out a lot with that. Cause I had myself as like the owner and myself as an employee, and then all of those things, like the lead hunter at the bank had helped me out a lot with that. And I put a lot of trust in you know, your finance guys, your accountants, just to know like that's their job, that's their profession. Do what I need, and then I'll just sign my paper. You know, that's kind of with that. The like payroll things like that. It's if you do the math on everything, you know, you kind of there's your number that you want to take home and that you know you need to have, and then there's your number that you want to put out. With that, I'm really good at math. So once I like heard, you know, that equation, then I knew this is what I can do. Yeah.
Thanks. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as a man and I'm cheap, and so my question is like your marketing and how do you draw in these men that are like, well, I'm not going to pay more than $10 for a haircut. And so like whatever you're doing something that these men are, and then when you said you doubled your prices and they still kept coming in.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like is your secret sauce for carving out that niche in the communities to have men specifically coming in and getting haircuts and coming back?
So one thing we really try to do is to know everybody's name. Like when you walk in, I always feel bad, like let's say like you three guys walk in, you know, and we're like, hey Jake, hey. And then you're like, well, why doesn't she know my name? Like you want me to know your name too. So when you come in next time, you know, I say your name. And like, I think our customer service is like really good most of the time. And I say most of the time because we do have our off days where sometimes, you know, I look at it like, God, I can't believe I said this or did that. But when you come in, it's a really awesome environment. Like there's a lot of people that are like, wow, this is really cool in here. We have a massive European moose head on the wall. It's really like manly in there. And then you come back and then there's our stations. We have really cool like built mirrors and then really awesome barber chairs. And then there's the shampoo bowl. And the shampoo bowl has a shiatsu massage chair. And we do like a hot towel treatment, straight edge neck shaves, and then if waxing if they want it. And what's crazy is if I like say, you know what, you should let me wax your nose today, you got nose hair sticking out, you probably appreciate that more that I would tell you that and wax your nose than walking around with nose hair. So, but wait a
minute, that's a
thing? But I do think for me, I think that it's kind of crazy. Like people are like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I've gotten in on your schedule. And because they will wait and wait and wait. And so it's that want to see what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. And like if your friend comes and does it, and then they have a really good experience, you're gonna want to see what that is. And then like, I will say in the schools, a long time ago, there's this little guy, Jace Horner, I don't know if you guys know him, blonde hair, stands out. And he's always been a kid who I have like admired as an influencer. So I wanted him to be one of my clients. And then I permed his hair one time, a long time ago, and that wasn't being done yet. He went to school, and everybody thought it was cool. And then pretty soon, here comes every single one of his classmates that come in. And then then they go to the middle school, and they start, it's like you should go get your haircut here kind of thing, and referral. And no matter what the price, like a parent will pay it for a kid because the kid feels good. If you've ever had your hair messed up, like some guys, they don't want that messed up again, so they want to come back. And yeah, I sometimes, like when I think I was charging like $15 when I started for a Baker Special. Baker Special is a haircut, shampoo, scalp massage, neck shave, hot towel, and that bumped up to $35. And nobody says anything. They want it done, and they like it. And I do think too, like guys are kind of becoming, they should take care of themselves, right? And it's a new trend, kind of, it's been happening, you know, it's growing. Like men's shoes is the highest retail market thing out there, which if you say that 20 years ago, it wasn't. So like looking good, people are on camera a lot more. So like I even said with Nicole doing facials, she also cuts hair. So you can't cut hair here, but you can do your facials. And she was worried. I said, so many men want to start taking care of their skin and like not have blemishes, wrinkles, you know, they want to like protect their skin. I guarantee she'll be getting some men clients that haven't even heard of this, you know, coming in. And because guys want to take care of themselves more. I don't know why more men don't get pedicures. You should. Like you're on your feet more, and are harder on your toes than women are. And women love the fanciness of it. But to take care of your feet when you're older, like you would have wished you would have done that. So with hair though, I think it's to look nice and to feel good. And like if you've never had a shampoo, like when I first started and people were doing the waxing, it was so funny because nobody had heard about it. So there was the Baker Special, which is named after all of the bakers in town. I don't know if you guys know them, but they're a really good looking family of men. And they kind of got me started. They came to me, I worked at a men's hair house, and the one brother came, and then he loved his hair, never had that good of a haircut. And the other brother came, and then the dad, and then the brother, and then the uncle, and then the cousin, and they're the bakers, and then the kids, and like that whole family. And then there's the Freddie Special, and this is named after Freddie Daggett. He's the one who actually like inspired me to name our haircuts. They're the Jack, which is just a cut, and then there's the Baker Special, the Freddie Special, and then there's the Miller Special and the Bubba. And they're all named after clients of mine. But when I first started, I just did the Freddie Special, which is the haircut and all the waxing, or the Baker Special, which was just the haircut with the washing. And so Freddie Daggett and Bill Baker, they worked at Daggett Truck Line out in Frazee. And I will say, there was he came, and then they go tell, you know. And they had a competition who would get more haircuts to come in, a Freddie or a Baker. And so they would do it, and nobody knew what these names meant, and they were just booking, like, I want the best one, so I'm gonna book the more expensive one, or, you know, like they had no idea. And so I had no idea that you book something and you're not reading what I'm gonna be doing to you. So it was fun when I first started, because nobody had any idea like what like a spa, I would say like a spa like service for a haircut is like. And so these guys would come in and then cut their hair, chat with them, you know, and then at this time I would turn around and then the sink was right there. And that's where, when you're like laying back in the chair, I would wax. And I always started with the nose first. And so I wouldn't say, I'm gonna wax your nose now. I would literally just shove a hot wax stick in the nose and they're like, what are you doing to me? Like, I'm gonna wax your nose. Like, didn't you know this? And they're like, no. And so then I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna wax you today. And so you do the nose, the brows, and the ears. I then started doing the ears, the brows, and the nose. And so it's because you just wouldn't know, you know. And then it'd be funny, like if I shocked you, you'd go tell your friend, yeah, book a Freddy special, it's cool. And then your friend would go and do the same thing. And then like wives would just book their husbands blindly and say, you gotta go see Katie. And they would come in, and I was doing this, and then, you know, everybody's talking about it, like, can you believe she shoves sticks in my nose? and you know, one time, this was funny, there was one of the clients who came for years, and I was washing his hair, and the guy had always only got the baker special, no waxing. And all of a sudden one day I just took a wax stick and I shoved it in his ear, and he's like, what are you doing to me? I was like, oh my gosh, Wade, I forgot you don't wax. And he didn't know. He's like, it felt like hot gravy pouring in his ears. But I'd seen ear hair in there and just thought, oh, I should take care of that, you know. And he didn't like it, but it's, you know, like they talk about it. It's a new experience that most people haven't had done, and then that just kind of like grows and grows. Cool. So yeah.
Any more questions? Sure.
I just think it's so cool how you're building community with this, and you're making all these really neat connections, and the stories that you've told are delightful. Just looking at, what's my question here, like Detroit Lakes, Perm, you know, what other things do you think could happen in our area to build more community and to encourage more people like you to take a leap and become an entrepreneur?
So there are 3 boys that I've been talking to that they're inspired, they want to be a barber. And I think it's cool. And they've asked me, you know, what clippers should I buy? How do I do this? I have them come in, you know, to like look and learn. And for these guys, because I've had kind of clientele go back and forth, like, well, I don't know if hiring in barbers into Schiller's house is like the right thing to do, which I don't know until you do it. But there's a huge interest in like the younger generation right now on cutting hair. And I think because you see it on social media nonstop, so it's very in their face. And you know, there's cool slang like low, mid, taper, fade, line up, you know, fresh. It is funny to listen to these kids talk, because part of it, I'm like, do you even know what that means? But you know, I think it's cool. So one kid is from Grand Forks, one kid is in town here, and then one kid is going into the high school. They're all high school students. And with them, I've encouraged the one to start barber school before, and I really hope, like, he's great. He's doing haircuts in his bathroom, and he's good at what he's doing, and he films it all. He, you know, just shows pictures. But for these guys, I think what would be really great is doing a mobile barbershop. And this would be something that people would just flock to. And you can put on, like, in, say, like Holly, Minnesota, they need something like a Schiller's house, but it doesn't pay to put a shop up there, a brick and mortar kind of building, because everybody leaves town, or, you know, the majority of people will leave town during the day. So you have to hit it like at a certain time, where if you have like the mobile shops, you can move this, like even if it was in town, like BTD. I always tell one of the guys, the higher ups there, like, if you want to reward your employees, give them an hour off during their workday to come in and get a haircut, because they can't do that, and that they would like that. Or building a mobile shop, and you just come over there and do it. But no, it's to build community. It's just having like our Schiller's House team show up. Like, people love that. The first year that we did the water carnival, ever since, our books have been packed, and I couldn't believe that. Like, we went and did all of the different events and just like show up and meet people, and after that it started like getting out there and doing things. And then in Perm, it's harder for Perm because you don't have I don't have kids in school there, so I don't know a lot of the younger generation there, but I know like the older business, we do the Perm Golf Scramble is a huge event out there, and we love doing that. We won the GOAT last year, which is Great Outfit Average Talent, and we dressed up like John Daly's and went golfing, and like it was a hit. Everybody, and then you build, but I think it would be cool to do something with the younger kids, like or you do we did it at the baseball game. We tried to get a stencil cut of the DL Ligers and do hair painting at the game, and kids love that. The stencil didn't work, so we just got Ligers colors and we painted kids' hair on our fun night down there. And the first time we did free haircuts, which we thought, no, we're not going to do that again. We wanted to watch the game, but doing stuff like that, it's kind of like face painting for hair, kids draw to that. But for, adults, I don't know. It's a good question, I guess.
All right, so before we wrap up, what can we as a community do to support you?
You guys support me already so much by, just showing up. And I do feel very supported in this community. I don't know what else you do. I'm gonna have to think about that one, Sarah. I don't know. I get so much support from everybody, so.
That's wonderful.
Keep doing what you're doing, I guess.
We need to book Tim for a Freddy. That was the one with the wax, right?
That was the with the wax.
I know Fred, he's got a really nice haircut, so now that I know. Yeah,
Tell him you heard about the Freddy special.
Yeah, or the Miller. I'm pretty sure I know which Miller you're talking about, so it's because Freddie, I'm sure, referred him.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's fun. That is one thing. When you're from out of town, right? And you're going I don't know what your haircuts mean, and it says in a little description underneath, but I mean, people don't read descriptions these days. They just I've never heard of that style haircut because they're used to booking, where it'd be a skin fade or a name of a haircut. This is just a name of a person, and I never in a million years thought I'd be this busy, but I couldn't go back after having it be those names. It's just you have to come in or hear the story of why it is like that. So but yeah, the Freddy special that's our probably biggest selling haircut. That's actually awesome. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, you all have to check out Schiller's house. Thank you for coming out to Deep Dive DL. We appreciate you taking time out here to connect with others and help inspire future entrepreneurs. And thank you for sharing your story with everyone.
Thanks for
have a
having
good
me.
day, everyone.